Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a Patreon, Ko-Fi, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitaly Z, Colton James, BG, Survived the Spin, FE Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name Spurley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mel's 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Harry Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. And now I'll hand it across to whoever's in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. So this microphone is the realistic handheld dynamic cardioid microphone, and it is the 331073B. It's made in China, for realistic, in the late 90s, and this is how it sounds.
What's up, Liam?
Hey Neil, how are you? How is everyone?
Good.
Sorry, I had
What's
to
up,
take yesterday
guys?
after I had to take care of my grandmother. How did it go? The rest, did you end up covering that video?
Which bit?
The PT baller.
Oh, it was the same. It was the same video that we did previously, like the day.
Oh
two
right,
before.
okay. I apologize.
I checked out Whitsid's video, "Breaking the Silence." That's what he entitled it. Oh boy.
What's the sentiment he's putting across?
Well, he's just making himself out to be a martyr. Nobody knows what he went through. Making excuses, saying everybody says he got paid off. Trying to make it sound like he went there. And then goes into ether, coming full force with ether.
Yeah, I'm burnt out by Whitsit personally.
He mentions something about debating Jaron, but he doesn't give a date. He just says, stay tuned. I don't know, peculiar actually to keep an eye on it and find out when the date is. But no date given yet.
Oh, we're waiting them to wake up.
I don't know. I think the ballers are a lot more alert than us lately. Over at their servers, there's like 30, 40 people there all the time.
Yeah, there is nobody on Discord, mate.
Omnivore has like 28 people. The other guy, got his name. And the baller has like 25.
Mm. The other day, somebody invited me to this Omni server. I exited immediately.
To Omnivore?
Yeah, some Omni
Yeah,
server.
that's what
I
I'm
don't know.
talking about.
One day, I just interrupted his speech and asked him, "Do he knows when it's noon? How he know that it's noon?" And then he was like, "Oops." How Globers know that it's noon during the day? You know, it's mid of the day. So exactly the noon. It's right now. Hey guys, here is our crew, Discord crew. It's your daddy and Steve. What's up, guys?
Morning, you guys.
I told you, Neil, they have to wake up.
Wake up, front and center, everybody. Roll call.
All I care is that I beat Steve in this time.
Wit's coming back. He's going to come back fast and hard with Ether. Is everybody ready?
Mm.
Is he putting out a new video soon, or
Just to
What's
answer the
it?
question, I'm born ready, my friend. Born ready.
He, if you're Christian and you deny Ether, there's something wrong with you. I told you they're
What
eventually
did
trying to tie it in with Ether being the Holy Spirit and the creator of all things.
you did you get some information we didn't get, Neil, about with it? He's been quiet
What's that?
again. With it, he's been quiet.
No, he's got a new video out called Breaking the Silence.
Oh, really? Just the last couple of days?
Within the last 10 days.
I saw one last week, I think. He yacked for a couple hours. I didn't listen to it too much.
Yeah, it's probably the same one.
Yeah, he didn't say too much there.
Well, he did mention he's going to debate Jaron.
Well, that's where I heard that. Yeah.
is he breaking the silence, as in finally explaining why he hasn't talked about much since TFE?
Yeah, he mentions it.
No.
He mentions it a little bit.
He didn't say nothing, no.
Yeah, he does. I listened to the whole thing. He explains why he stepped away for a while. Listen, he's a proven liar. Got no integrity. And he appeals to his integrity that he doesn't have in the video.
I haven't watched any of that. Does he actually ever talk about the actual observation and measurements, or does he just talk about the drama and why he's not doing it and why Jaren's gone and blah blah blah?
Yeah, mostly the latter.
Drama.
Well, that's what's bothering me, is that I've interacted with Duffy personally for several months since TFE, and I keep asking him for, measurements of his
Balls.
observations, and he avoids it like crazy. I can't get him, any of them to talk about it. He goes on and on about planes don't fly in a straight line, and he did his little video with Wolfie, and there's just nothing about TFE that I can't get him back to, and get back to just trying to ask about the measurements and about the observation, and any of that, that's as if I'm interested to see if they really did see it, and let's talk about it.
So you
But
deflected to the measurements.
yeah. No, I've been. He even asked me to debate him, and I laughed at him, and he goes on and on about flight paths. There's a Facebook group we're in that he's been teasing in, and he challenged me to a debate and about flight paths, and it.
Yeah, but that's his trick. They want it to appear like there's still a debate. There is no debate.
Right. I do like how Nathan's going in that uh, vein about just what just the rhetoric about what is and isn't a debate, and so I've pretty much been starting to use that in some of my Facebook posts and stuff. That here's the fact: no debate. Don't argue about it. I like that.
How would you debate a reality? And I mean, what's there to debate? How do you debate a measurement? What's there to debate?
No, there's nothing. They just keep. Oh, what's the latest one? I was someone came back with, you just don't understand what a tangent point or tangent line. It's what it's. I'm finding lately there's a lot of, especially with Duffy. He's actually been good practice for me, because to read some of his posts and his challenges and his rhetoric, um, it's good practice for detecting very crafty um, word spelling, and the use of language. Like, what was his thing? He was in his debate premise was that he was going to. Sorry. Still there? Yeah. Okay. An alarm go off. Old man getting up. Um, his premise was that something about flight paths. I'd have to go read it again, but he's just claiming that flight paths destroy flat Earth. Planes don't fly straight, and yeah, I know, and he's mixing up. He's trying to mix up level and horizontal. It's horizontal, and the pitch
Yeah,
data.
the
Oh,
last
yeah,
flight
the
I
pitch
took, they
data.
went around in circles to plane.
Yeah, the pitch data
That's how
is
I
the
got to
pitch
Texas,
data.
because it went around in circles.
Yeah, The pitch data shows that it's going horizontal. Well, of course it's going horizontal, but it's not level with, or because it's going horizontal because it's level with the curving surface of the Earth. And so, and it's like, dude. And I just keep showing him his video from Wolfie. He's got him and Wolfie with the toy airplane, and Wolfie spinning the globe underneath the airplane. I just keep showing that screenshot of him playing with the toys, and it he gets quiet about it. He never reacts to that stuff. He just comes back and says, "Oh well, I see you're not going to debate me because you're afraid of me. Globe wins."
Mhm.
It's so childish. It's so childish. But man, he does. You got to watch his words because he'll say something. Like planes don't fly straight, and then he'll debate you till forever and point out that, well, this plane turned east or this plane turned west, or and see it turned, or
But meanwhile,
it
the
didn't
path
go
that was
straight.
taken before it turned was all measured flat, right? All at 20,000 feet in the air for 300, 400 miles, right? What about that?
Yeah, well, no, that's just because that's just following the curve of the Earth. It's you know, you just don't understand pitch data. You're not a pilot.
They don't
You don't
understand lift
understand.
effect. That's their problem.
Yeah, but I mean that's why you just have to be consistent and just bland about it and just say, well, that's horizontal. It's horizontal. It's just showing it's going level. Nothing bendy about it, or not even mention bend. They won't even come up with. I haven't heard. Globe. Horizon is Earth curve in months and months. Um, and trying to get them back to even claiming that the horizon is Earth curve is difficult. It's like they know the arguments. They know that it's flat. They know what you're going to say. They know you're going to show the black swan, and I know they're going to say refraction, and then they know that I'm going to say, well, if your curve is refracted, then you've got no geometric Earth curve, and it goes around in circles, like you said,
Yeah, but they'll still say both go over the horizon.
Right. Yeah. And I ask, how far away is that thing? Things get small and they get far away, right? Is that linear miles?
I was watching the hockey game last night, and it was taking place in Edmonton, and it was still light out at 10 o'clock at night over there.
How soon is it going to be before the North gets their 24-hour sun? Isn't that coming up?
I don't know. It's got to be close because it's 10 o'clock, and it was light as can be over there.
That was the other thing. And I asked about, I don't know if I asked Duffy about it, um, to explain it, but I seem to think, and someone who's seen it, let me know, because I always thought that the 24-hour sun in the north lasted for several days, if not weeks. Wasn't that the case? Or am I mistaken? Is it only a 1 or 2 day deal and then it starts setting a little bit every day after that? So I know the midnight or the 24-hour darkness lasts forever, for a month, 2 or whatever. But that's something that I haven't looked into, but I've been wanting to. Is I'm under the impression that the northern 24-hour sun, for the most extreme north, um, lasted for several weeks of it always being up. Whereas I think the southern one, I don't think it lasts more than a day or two. And so that was one of my projects to try to figure out because if the Earth's a ball, of course, then it would be the same on both sides, right?
Nobody's answering you. I love it.
Sorry, I gotta take care of my dog. Give me a minute.
You've got a dog now?
I just have an old pug dog. His 2 hind legs do not work anymore. So yes, if you affirm the consequence, yeah, it's got to be the same for the north and the south if you're on a sphere. That's their whole spiel.
Right. Yeah. And it was just curious to me that more of his affirming the consequence nonsense hasn't been played up. All he's basically said is that the AE map is debunked, and that's it. It's like, dude, this wasn't about a map. This was about proving the Earth's a globe, right? Well, prove it, dude.
Tell us something we don't know. That's old news.
Yeah, well, they've moved on pretty quickly from that. It'll be interesting to see if they ever get their documentary or the Behind the Curve 2 together. Because Duffy was all excited at first to get everybody on video and to get all of his clips of how this got started and who he talked to and all that stuff. And they were gearing up. He's got somebody working on probably a pretty sweet documentary kind of thing going on. And so he was getting all that together. But I think it might be with the event of McToon's Where's the Guns, Nathan breakdown. I wouldn't be surprised if that is a pivotal point in their production of what they were putting together for a big video reveal or whatever. That was a point that will be it'll be interesting to see how what
No, he
comes of
called
it.
the show. That was live. He called in the show live. We got that.
Oh, I was there. That was I was listening and I was going, holy cow. And yeah, I someone on the team needs to make sure and archive and gather up that whole thing and whatever video you can get together, because I haven't seen anything else other than from you guys of that deal, uh, of that event. And I think that um, yeah, make sure that gets archived and saved and able to be
It
presented.
already is. It's a show.
Interesting.
Nathan did a show.
Well, I mean, I don't know which show and stuff like that.
Well, you have to
And
go
so
to
other
December
people who weren't there,
21st, right? Around that time
right?
of
Right. I
last
mean,
year, he
I'm
went
talking
live.
for
It was a
for other.
Sunday.
Well, you guys remember it really well and stuff like that. I'm just saying for other people who haven't been following. At any rate, that I they were getting together a whole bunch of stuff for a big kind of behind the curve 2 thing, and
Oh, wait a second. Let me
as
interrupt
soon
you real
as they,
quick. What
as
was the
soon
name
as
of the thing that they were doing? It was called TFE, right? The final experiment.
right,
So what are they doing now? The final, and then after that,
no. I'm saying this whole time since about I don't know 9 months or so before they went, Duffy was in the process of uh, putting together a documentary, a Netflix type documentary for TFE. So they were getting it, the whole time. That's why he goes on to Facebook groups and stuff and tries to get people to debate him, is so they can get video to add to their documentary
yeah, low
to
hanging
knock
fruit.
people down.
Listen,
Yes, and
if
that's
you
why
wanna,
he's got
if you wanna put something together successful, what you do is you go
right.
on a top debate show. It's called Flat Earth Debate. Has he came here? No. What does
No,
he do? He grabs all the low hanging fruit and puts his little video together because that's what they have to do.
right. And that's why he went on and talked to Jaron, and he talked with Whitsitt and those. But he's getting all that together, and he thought, I think he thought he was going to be a slam dunk when they saw the sun. And I think the pushback that they're getting mostly from FED is helping to kind of squash their uh, big uh, what they thought was going to be the big part 2 of Behind the Curve that was going to crush the flat Earth forever for good final. And there's enough people that are asking them questions and not cowering when they say, "Oh well, you've got nothing, you've got no model, you've got nothing. What about flight paths and what about this balloon thing with Creaky and stuff like that?" I think it's got them a little bit on the run. So basically, keep it up. Yeah, well, they haven't had anything. It's given people like me a lot of confidence. I've even had McToon. Oh, he replied to something I'd written, and I said, "Oh yeah, well, how about that? What were your measurements to that?" And
That's
he
it.
gave me
Keep them to the measurements.
right. Well, he gave me the measurements of the where he was facing south or whatever. They were arguing about where they were facing when they saw the sun, And so he was just giving directions. And I asked him, I said, what were your altitude and azimuth readings for the whole 24 hours? That would be pretty interesting to know. And he dodged that. So,
Well, it's funny. Directions are only with respect to horizontal plane of reference, north, east, west, south.
You
It would
beat
be
me to
interesting
That
to
it.
know which way he's facing.
yeah, I was basically saying you're just looking at everything from a horizontal plane. He knows, like Nathan says a lot, McToon knows that it's flat. He can't help it. He just has to work the rhetoric. And his last defense is, "Oh, you're just parroting Nathan," and that's how you know you win.
Well,
What would be
you're
nice?
parroting measurements. That's how you know you win, no matter who says it.
Right. That's what's great. It's like, oh no. I try to avoid Earth's measured flat, and try to think of other ways to say it. But yeah, the what would be
Why would you try to avoid the most powerful statement?
well, partially because I know my audience or whoever I'm talking to, they're the ones that know that's the 2025 catchphrase or 2024 catchphrase. And so that's the first thing they do is like, oh, you're just parroting Nathan.
Oh boy!
So it's good to know.
So that's like what they used to
Yeah.
say with QE when you say gas pressure without containment, and you hold them to that. Oh, that's a QE argument. It's not an argument,
No,
first of all. It's a fact.
I know. Yeah, but that's what are you going to do? That's how they come back. So you gotta come with saying it just a little bit differently, and they'll still come back as you're just listening to your YouTube gurus as they give you YouTube gurus and dumb Glober memes. It's all projection. I think 2020, the end of 25 and into 26, it's going to be the year of projection. Everything that people say is absolute projection. And it's all from concerns that they may be wrong. Someone that's going to lose their whole way of life or their whole career. If they're a pilot and they think that the Earth is not a ball and they've been wrong all this time and they've been flying wrong, people are just going to go crazy. It's going to be projection to save people to projection to save their own minds when they get into the
Yeah,
argument.
I experienced that recently. I had a work colleague tell me that you're into flat Earth because you want to feel different. And this was coming from somebody who can't wear a work uniform. They have to wear their favourites band T-shirts to work, whereas I just turn up in the uniform.
There's something to that. I swear. Look out for it and just see. And every time someone, and it doesn't have to be flat Earth related. It's going to be everything, anything, and everything. Everything's related to either God or Satan, truth or untruth, is what it is. But when it comes down to it, if you have an argument with somebody, if you just think, okay, what are they afraid of? What are they projecting on me? Man, you will see it in a minute, especially after debating globe earthers all this time.
Let's get it on.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Hoping we can have a nice laid-back show today. Been very, very busy for the last 24 hours straight, and I've been up against it. And obviously, given that that's the case, I've not arranged anything for this particular live show. Although the discussion in regards to the seeming turncoats of the final experiment and their endeavours to move on to the final experiment 2. This time it's personal. Were being discussed in the pre-show, so maybe we'll carry on with the conversation. I know John disagreed, but everyone else sort of shouted him down. Not shouted him, but metaphorically shouted him down in the pre-show. What were you going to disagree with in regards to people's projection, John? If you can hear me, if you're there.
I think he disappeared.
Oh, he's trying to get back in. I have to repeat the question. Hopefully you can hear me, because I've just put something to him and didn't realise he wasn't here. Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, you booted me.
I didn't mean to boot you.
Yeah, you went back to anyone can join to with permission.
My bad. It's accidental. I'm still waiting on a monitor. It's due today, so it's so tempting to not do a show when you've got a hodgepodge of million windows all covering each other and stressing out your graphics card. But by the same token, it'll be back to normal tomorrow, I'm sure, once this monitor arrives. But what I was launching into after booting you accidentally was, what were you about to disagree with? So you were talking about projecting your globe earth insecurities onto flat earthers, or in the case of the example that was given by Liam, it was somebody saying you just want to be different from the guy who has to wear his favourite band's t-shirt rather than the work uniform.
Oh, we were talking about how people will say that that's a Nathan argument to say the earth is measured flat. But it's just not an argument. It's not even contentious, was my point.
Yes, it's not my argument. It's a statement of absolute fact and certitude beyond all doubt. When I say Earth is measured flat, that's not a suggestion. It's not my opinion. It's not an argument, is John's point. Is it, John? Earth being measured flat, that's not an argument I'm making.
No, it is for them too. They know that too. As crazy as it sounds, they know it's measured flat.
Of course.
My mic must be muted.
No, we can hear you.
But it says it's not an argument, it's just a fact.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fact that you can attempt to whistle past if you're a globe believer. Or acknowledge it quickly and move on, and hope no one notices that you require a flat earth prerequisite in anything that you ever claim that's got an earth measurement in it. Well, we've noticed previously we took the wrong path as flat earthers because we were trained to do so. Let me enlighten the audience on what I'm talking about. So if you're confronted with somebody who's saying, oh, we don't need to measure this earth curve you speak of, flat earther, because it's so big. Now, the mistake in years gone by was to say, no, you, as a globe believer, should believe there's an earth curve at 1.22 times the square root of the Europe surface height in feet. And then you, as a globe earth denier and flat earth proponent, start educating the flat earth denier, that's globe believer, about his use of earth curve where he's currently denying it, when he says earth's so big you can't measure it curved. Now, in reality, we do measure Earth flat. The excuse that it's so big is irrelevant. We measure Earth flat. Those are the facts in the matter. I'll say it once more to reiterate John's point. That's not an argument. It's an axiomatic principle used when measuring Earth. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Straw man.
Is it a straw man or was it the context of PT's video? Got a proto-thud in my comments moaning that we haven't covered PT's video because we covered about 5 minutes on a live show and then covered it in the after show, which will get released in about 2 or 3 weeks on the second channel, or you can watch it now if you're a member. Now me, I don't give a toss. The moment he appealed to an elevation angle, which he had up on screen, it was the end of the discussion. Now, I've pointed that out in the live show. Has it got addressed? By proto-thud. No, you haven't covered enough of PT, is what his response was. Meanwhile, Earth was measured flat in every example. Made by PT, made by Brian, made by proto-thud, made by anybody ever measuring Earth. Those are the facts in this matter.
Yeah, so it's a straw man to ask why one would use or utilize a curved baseline. Nobody's doing so.
Correct. I see what you mean now. Yeah, I suppose you could call that a straw man. Other than it's the primary claim they make on their opposing side that believe they're on a ball.
There's somewhat of a little bit of a different claim I've heard from somebody that no plumb lines are parallel. And
So
I know it's like they go back to there's some old video of a guy using theodolites, and actually there's some documentation online. They gave some drawings of what was supposedly going on. I could maybe put it in the chat if.
but what you can, but what you're suggesting is somebody's trying to deny an axiom. That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. And I keep saying, I said, dude, if you can't, if your plumb lines are diverging, or if there
They're
are
not
no
plumb lines.
parallel plumb lines, you can't, they're not plumb lines, and you can't even measure the height of a mountain or something like that. There's a million pictures that shows elevation angle measurements to mountaintops. It's like, it's a big triangle. It's a big right triangle. That mountain's got to be 50, 60, 100 miles away, and it's a 90-degree angle at the top of the mountain. That's how you get its height. Dude,
Yeah.
if plumb lines weren't parallel, we couldn't measure a damn thing. And It's like, oh well, yeah, they're panicking. They just don't know what to think anymore. That's why the projection is the
It's
problem.
cognitive dissonance. They don't know how to think, because in axiomatic terms they require parallel, they require eye level, surface level, things like that to measure Earth. So when they do measure Earth flat and then start applying it to a ball, and you point out that it's not conducive with the measurement you've just taken of a flat Earth, they start denying axioms.
Yeah. It's like trying to I told somebody about airplanes. I get in my Facebook feed all the time now, a bunch of stuff from airplanes, infographics and stuff, and everything's a horizontal plane, and it shows here's the altitude, or here's the the artificial horizon, and it works on the gyro, and it keeps everything horizontal. And I point out to one guy, well, planes fly flat. Oh, look, here's pitch data too. I've got. They just can't. The gyro follows the curve of the Earth. It's just got to.
The interesting thing you said there was zenith, reciprocal zeniths is what they state. It's that they're not parallel, right? So they're reciprocal zeniths.
Yes, reciprocal zenith angles is what they'll claim. Yes.
Right, and that's from and I guess that's
just one sec, Dudley. Just one sec. Go ahead, John.
Oh,
how do you measure a zenith to get a zenith to begin with?
You'll need 90 degrees to a horizontal plane of reference. Do I win anything?
Well, yeah, that's what I say, and then the whole reason they can get the theodolite set up is they have to set it up with the 90 degree, and that graphic that shows the reciprocal zenith angles shows the whole orthographic view with the curved surface of the Earth. And I try to point out where the 90 degrees should be, and they're tricky with it. They've got the theodolite set up, and you can see where the 90 degree is supposed to be at the tangent to the curve in their drawing, but they don't count that as the surface. They go up from that vertical, from that tangent point, and that's when they start drawing all their little
it's not a
horizon lines.
It's not a tangent point though. It's surface level in their drawings. Why are they doing that?
To prove that the Earth is curved. They
but
don't.
No. Yes, I see your answer. That's what you're saying. They would suggest is the reason they're doing it. But John's asking you, when using a flat plane, why would you suggest anything beyond the flat plane that's required? surface level in this instance. Now, I know you're answering on their behalf. Well, they think they're proving the surface is curving. No, that doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't, and that's why I like listening and learning different ways rhetorically to I don't want to say fight back, but basically to just um, debate back this non-debatable subject. This is so it just end up a lot of times just going, dude, it's
Yeah.
horizontal.
I get it.
That's the surface level.
You're
Move
trying
on.
to figure out more and more different ways of saying, yeah, you'll need a flat Earth for that. Yeah, we're in the same boat.
Yes. Yeah, that's you'll need a flat Earth for that is really where I'm coming down to a lot of times in these debates and watching them basically explode, call me stupid, and project their fears. And it's just getting more intense out there with a lot of people that are discovering this thing. There's a lot of people that aren't even paying attention. But the ones that are paying attention and really, really scared of it, I think, are getting more and more intense and forward with their projection of how scared they are about measurements.
The anti-flat earthers are getting scared, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the globers accept it as measured flat. They just accept that.
Well, I've been working. There's a lot of people in my personal life that been trying to that don't care, or they just automatically brush it off, and we've got other things in life and to talk about or whatever. I've got one of my 4 kids, daughter, who I have been trying out with, just saying, hey, when you're not thinking of making fun of your dad and making little side jokes, just think about the fact that the Earth is measured flat, and if you really want to know about that, let me know. And it's starting to work, but man, it is a tough thing, because I don't think a lot, when people are first caught with it, and we're talking normies, that and people and love, that that know that the Earth is flat and measured flat. They there needs to be. I'm looking for an easy way, or an easier way, to breach the subject of the truth of the nature of Earth, without going into any of the feast of nonsense. I've gone through that phase.
Good
and
luck.
I've left it all behind.
Let me
And
be the one to tell you what to do. Like what I'm going to do with my son. He's getting a Christmas gift, and it's called "Welcome to Flat Earth." It's a book that Nathan Oakley is writing, and that's how you do it.
Bosh, Merry Christmas.
But you do want people to be in a position, and this is what I hope the book will offer people. I know it will, but I want to seem modest. I hope. I damn well know it'll offer them this. The ability to say that statement with total certitude behind their statement. When they say Earth's measured flat, I want the person who's read their Flat Earth Bible, in this case my book, to know that's the case. Having found out every aspect that the opponent they may face would put to them in terms of Earth measurements, and how their opponent will require Earth to be measured flat.
And that's not an argument, that's a fact.
Other than then they'll just say, you just read your Christmas book from Nathan, and that's why you're saying it's flat.
No, you just give them a few examples, or ask them for theirs. Oh no, if it's not flat measurements, then give us your globe measurements. and let's see how quickly we can unpack the flat Earth that's required in them. It won't take long.
It was measured a long time ago. Don't you know that? They figured that out a long time
Yeah,
ago.
they measured it flat a long time ago,
They
yeah.
do. Oh, I just start cracking up. Yes, they did. That is so true.
There's an example on screen. Surface level plane with horizontal marked. You standing in the middle of a perspective view, if you will. Well, what you've got is a line along the surface and a line up to Polaris to form an elevation angle. How high Polaris is with respect to the surface is its elevation angle measurement. It requires Earth be a plane of reference to measure it. This is the basis for all globe Earth faith. This measurement of Earth as a flat plane. That is all. There's nothing more to it. Earth is measured flat. This is the end result. Yeah. You can project concentric circles from Polaris to create a concentric circle map that you can then project square by plotting it onto a ball and then back out onto what you see on screen. That's the transverse Mercator grid. Originating in flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris. Why do we need a transverse Mercator, you might ask, if you're in the audience? Why do all maps get presented as flat? It's because distance measurements are linear. You can't have a distance on a ball. All representations of distances will be measured on flat maps so they can be represented accurately with respect to a surface level. Reference to sea level. That's how Earth is dealt with, measured and navigated. Flat in all instances. The fact that they project concentric circles on a flat plane to wrap them around a ball to then reproject them out onto a square grid to then roll it back out flat so that you can still have functional linear distance measurements function on the map. But pretend that the maps come from a ball. Well, that ball came from concentric circles measured off a flat plane to Polaris. That's how the deception works. Now you know everything. Yeah. If you were a cursory watcher of this show, now you know the full beginning to end deception of heliocentrism. What was measured? That's Earth as a flat plane. What was converted? That's Polaris measurements into the latitude system. And how that system gets projected onto a ball and then back out onto a flat map that we're all familiar with. So that we can convince ourselves that it actually came from the ball if we ignore the previous steps. That's the deception. That's it. That's all of it. That's it. There isn't any more to it. You could go into detail about who did it. Talk about Copernicus, maybe. But it wouldn't really change any of that story now, would it? That story is that story. It will never change. Earth will always be measured flat to create the ball you see in the centre of this transverse Mercator square projection of a flat map, wrapped around the ball that originates it in terms of the projection points. This is how it's done. The ball doesn't really exist. It's never utilised. You're never mapping anything on a ball. But to create the illusion that it exists, you've got to do this. You've got to go through that process I've just described. Doesn't mean we've got a ball. You can't describe orbital motion from on a ball. And orbital motion isn't described from on a ball. It's described from within a ball. On a plane. Like everything, because it's going to measure angles to stars. To then mathematicize an idea of moving around the sun. On a plane in a ball. No one's doing that. We're not in hell in a ball that we've reified from flat plane measurements of angles to stars. There you go. That's it. That's the full start to finish shebango of your globe Earth religion if you have one.
Oh, Nathan, will that be in the book?
Yes.
Wonderful.
After the ice wall section, Neil.
There is no ice wall section. There is a Feast of Nonsense section where we loosely go through the garbage waffle that some of our compadres on the Flat Earth side might have spewed prior to the book. Now, I hope, and I've explained this to my wife, I've said, look, this book is bigger than me. That's not me going, oh, look how ace I am, arrogance or anything. These are factual statements. The book is bigger than me. It will be out in the realm of the world, hopefully en masse, with people appreciating how Earth is dealt with in factual terms with a reference book to point it out to them. That means that me and my book are far less important than the actual context of the information held within that book. The book will tell people how Earth is flat. Not how you can suggest that, believe that, or infer it to another third party. The facts that Earth is flat are laid down in my book. That's what I want people to take on board. I want them to pass it around, distribute it, give it to friends and family. And over time, the significance of a flat Earth reference book will become apparent to all who read it. That's more important than me as an individual. Nathan Oakley becomes less important when you read the book, when you'll see how the information is presented very carefully, scrutinised to the most heaviest extent that you could possibly scrutinise anything. And it is a masterpiece.
Yeah, there's no other book. You're not going to find one like it. Past, present, maybe in the future, people will catch on. But there's no other book going to be like this one.
I cannot wait, right? I, in my career, have done all sorts of jobs that I have loved doing. Yeah? I'm doing one at the moment, this second. Broadcasting on YouTube is my dream job. And it's a lot of young people's dream job, as I'm finding out from my eldest daughter. The majority of kids want to be a YouTuber. I'm very privileged to do my dream job. That's what I trained for in college as a performing arts, whatever you want to call it, student. This is what I trained to do. I'm lucky to do what I love. Now, along those paths, and this is something I've been telling my kids recently, you've got to have other feathers in your cap. Yeah, you need more in your quiver than just the one arrow. Therefore, for me, flogging things in the past high-end electronics to studios and dealers and the general public was what I did for my main career. Now, I'm doing something else that I love, flogging microphones, temporarily, while we finish off the book. Now, that will come to a conclusion, right? I've stopped buying them. Stopped about a week ago, actually. Now, there's a couple more that are just trickling through late deliveries, but other than that, I'm now going to ride out the wave of flogging them all to keep the mortgage paid. Right? I've invested all the money. I'm a couple of £100 out of pocket, maybe £300 out of pocket. And now the money can actually start coming back in over the next couple of months while we finally finish off the book. But if I hadn't have done that, I'd be absolutely crapping myself now, or e-begging more likely. I'd just be asking you, the audience, please help me or I'm going, because I can't pay the bills. That would have been my holler. Now instead, it's like, no. This is a quiet time, a quiet period, the worst possible time to e-beg. Not that's the reason I've done this, not at all. But I'm just saying it as it is, right? If I was to have not done anything and bought mics and start flogging them and have a whole surplus, maybe 80 mics ready to go out the door, all turning into money that will pay the mortgage. If I hadn't have done that, I'd be a bit screwed, yeah, in this little lull, because it's a much bigger lull than typically would be at this time of year. So it's amplified. But that lull is a calm before a storm that's coming. Now, I don't know if anybody's picking up on this. I've said it a couple of times in the last few shows, right? As soon as the book's out, that is going to be my only focus. There won't be any mics to say. If there are, I'll be taking them all off eBay so I'm not suddenly distracted by some sale that's coming through that I've got to get out the door. It'll all just be taken off eBay the moment the book's finished. And my entire focus will be on that book. I'll be promoting it to everybody I can get to talk to promote it to. Anybody that's willing, I will be in front of them. Yeah? It'll be hell for leather to promote that book. And I cannot wait. Because it's going to cause a crap storm.
Guess who else is writing a book? You may be setting it, you may be a trendsetter. It is writing a book. So there's your competition.
Of course he is. Because I've been putting out there that I'm writing a book, so the shills need to undermine what I'm doing with some shit garbage about ether. Yeah, don't buy Witzit's book, it'll just be full of bullshit. As we know, we've spoken to the man. But yeah, what a shock. Yeah. Got to have the shills putting out something into the ether, metaphorically speaking. If there's good information out there, you need to dilute that down, don't you? Of course.
Kind of pissed me off when I heard that because I was thinking the same thing you're saying. I'm like, of course, Nathan's coming out with a book and the liars got to come out with something about ether. Oh, that's brilliant.
That's what they're there for. These shills are only here for that purpose. That is their purpose, to undermine what we do. Yeah? These Freemasons, these shills, that's what they're here for. Now, I'm sick of being called a Freemason when these people are clearly Freemasons. Yeah? Will Duffy was asked if he was a travelling man. He answered in the affirmative. The man's a Freemason. There's no doubt in my mind what's going on here. The guy who asked him was on Modern Day Debate. He runs the channel. These people are funny handshakes, Freemasons, that are here to poison the well. That's what their purpose is. Yeah? They're here to deceive you. They've got a purpose, and it isn't for your benefit. I mean, maybe I'm not here for your benefit either. I'm quite selfish. I'm here for my benefit. But my benefit is sharing the information that I've learned, not deceiving you. But the shills are here on both sides of this discussion. Yeah? They're not just flat earthers. They're not just globe earthers or anti-flat earthers. They're everywhere. And as you'd expect it to be, if you've got to control a narrative, you're going to put people that are yours everywhere. Yeah? Jaron's shown his hand. We know he's a shill. Yeah, Duffy, you already knew it. If you didn't know it and you believed it because you're a globe believer, then you're a normie and you're not in the know. The rest of you, okay, if you want to be deceived by these shills and charlatans and con men, grifters, fraudsters, then yeah, I guess I don't care. But as for my own side, it's actually a bit of a relief. I don't have to concern myself with Jaron the shill anymore. He's revealed his hand. So I don't have to go round him saying, why are you doing such a terrible job? Well, I know now, don't I? Because he was never here to do a good job for Flat Earth. He was only here to mess things up. Whitsit's no bleeding different. Meanwhile, we measure Earth flat. It's not a debate. Yeah, we are in the midst of the highest degree of censorship we have ever experienced in this subject matter. Because they've got to increase the level of perception that it's all over. So having us, the fly in the ointment, saying, what do you mean all over? What, all over your use of a flat earth? Toon's screaming my freaking name into the snow because I've asked him about the measurements that he's taken. And he's gone nuts because he knows they're flat. You think that's it being over, do you, dickheads? No. Well, what are you going to do about it? Oh, you'll censor me to all frig. So I struggle to pay the mortgage. Yeah, that's it. That's all you've achieved. Me struggling to pay the mortgage. The message hasn't changed. And maybe you can pile on some more bullshit and get Witsit to bring out some shit book about ether. Stem the flow of the actual decent information with more garbage that'll get more publicity. Yeah, Witsit will end up on a nice, merry train of publicity. Yeah? Promoting his shit that he cobbled off in a few minutes. Yeah, we can all see what's coming. That's why we need the actual community, the one that I appeal to when I'm poor. Well, this time it won't be because I'm poor. Yeah? I've made sure that when I'm appealing to you in this instance, I'm not appealing you with a deficit in my bank balance. Now, like Witsit was recently. Dirty e-begging grebo that he is. Yeah? No, I don't need to do that this time. I will appeal to you to buy the book, to put it in front of others, to make sure that other people get to read it. That's what I'll appeal for, rather than just straight out e-begging like Witsit was doing recently. Oh yeah, I messed everything up for you all. Oh yeah, I'm completely deceitful. Yeah, I wasn't really vaping, but I was. Yeah, I'm a liar, but it don't matter. Give me money. And I might be writing a book that'll be garbage. Oh really? Me, I've made sure I'm self-sufficient while we've written this book, while we've edited it together, and when it gets published, I'll be doing nothing but promoting it. For the greater benefit of anybody who reads it. And the community at large. The Flat Earth community, if you want to see it as that, I don't, will benefit from this book coming out. It won't just be some fly-by-night grift that Witsit will be attempting to peddle. Some bullshit about how he was perceived after going to Uncut. That's what his book will be about. Me, it'll be straight-up information and facts about how Earth's measured flat. Points that you can use on Next Man to make it absolutely abundantly clear that they need a flat earth to measure when they believe they're on a ball. Useful information like that will be conservatively presented in the book when it comes out.
Yeah, his latest video, he moans about how he's been treated and nobody knows how tough he had it and what hell he went through financially. It's a big sob fest.
But just do something about it. Yeah? Say I keep an eye on my finances, and when I see that there's something going on, I try and do something proactively about it. Now, that might be producing more videos. Omi videos, get the example from last year, because that's what I did. You go, oh, crap, better do something about it, and you work harder. Well, I'm doing that now. I'm absolutely exhausted, completely worn out. Up at 5 a.m, in bed at 2 a.m, no sleep, constantly exhausted. Why? Because I'm running 3 different jobs. Why? Well, because I need to keep finances high so that I'm not perceived to be e-begging when I'm promoting my book. Oh, you only want to promote your book because you're so poor and you need the money, don't you? No, no, no. I'm going to make sure that is absolutely not the case when I go out on the road promoting it. Yeah? What's it? Oh, but it's so bad. No, you bleeding haven't. You've gone out on your shill mission to shill for the globe. Yeah? Seemingly still on our side, are you? No, you're an ether scumbag peddling nonsense waffle. Every time we call you out on it, you call us shills. Call us grifters. Call us scammers. Yeah, very shilly behaviour from Witsit. If you're going to lead an opposition, you need to control it from within. That's what these people do. I've seen it before. I didn't recognise it or acknowledge it. Now it's obvious with Jaren coming out of the fray.
Yeah, he also mentions that there will be a debate between him and Jaren. So they are trying to control it.
Oh, I see. So Jaren's all willing to have debates and discussions with people as he encountered with me. Okay, I'll have a debate with you, Jaren. Where do you want to meet? Let's drop him a line right now. I would assume the contact information for Jaren hasn't changed on Teams, correct?
I believe it's the same.
Let's have a little look. Well, I'm not going to do it immediately. Oh, here we go. I found him. Offline. Fancy a debate? Question mark. Right, I've sent Jaren a message, because I've still got an open communication line with Jaren. Fancy a debate? Question mark. What with you being a baller now? See if he debates an actual flat earther.
Nice move, Nathan. Nice move.
Jaren's been more than willing to talk to me when he was a flat earther, for me to correct him on the shite that he was spewing as a flat earther. Now I can just correct him on the shite he was spewing, full stop. Because it was just shite. It was never anything to do with flat earth. It was just shite spewed by an idiot. Now I don't have to stand on ceremony because he's perceived as a flat earther and on my side. He was never on my side. But now he can be on the opposite side rather than pretending to be on my side when we debate. Given that we've encountered each other plenty of times, I wouldn't see any reason why he would turn me down.
Well, this is going to be very telling right now. This is a very strong move you just made on the chessboard.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to talk to Jaren now. He's a baller.
That is the most interesting thing about him now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
that's the thing. If he's a baller, then he'd be willing to debate Nathan. But I don't see that happening. So what's going on here?
Well, he's not a baller. He's a anti-flat earther. That's what he is now.
He's an anti-flat earther. Did you see that I trimmed out a bit of yesterday's show? I managed to squeeze it in my incredibly busy schedule. Anybody see
I didn't
that?
see that, no.
Okay, I'll dig
Is
it
it a
out.
tribute to your best mate, Simon Dan?
Yeah. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Which one did you see? The members video or the shorts?
The members.
Okay, well, that's quite long. It's about 13 minutes long. I'm not going to play that to the audience now, but what I will play to the audience now is the shorts version of it. So this is exactly that. Check level. Doesn't debate. Really, Dan? Did you not proactively get in touch with me to tell me my reference frame's ruined? Is that not you debating that's entered in debate on Twitter with me and lost? And has never heard the end of it since? You do debate, Dan. You just lost really quickly to me. This is never going to go away. It's not going to be unsaid. It's not going to be you not debating people when you asked Jaron if it bothers people that you don't debate. Bothers them? I quote your debate with me, you That's how useless a turd Dan is in this bowl we call flat Earth. Yeah, Dan, when he entered into a debate with me, lost without even needing me to reply to him. Oh, your reference frames are in, are they? Well done for dismantling your own claim. Not much of a reply I can offer to that, really, other than to quote it ad nausea when Dan lies about not debating. Oh, so where did I get that from, Dan? Was that when we weren't debating about Coriolis and our reference frames are ruined? End quote you. When he says he doesn't debate. There you go. That was the shorts version of it. There is a longer version, which I will release eventually, but it's currently members only. Feel free to check it out if you're one of my members. But that's how long did Simon Dan take to lose when he entered into the debates that he lies about not having? Spoiler, it's immediately. Literally, as I just said in that clip, I didn't even need to have to respond to him. You and your reference frames are ruined is a self-contained statement that destroys the assertion that Earth turns underneath stars at 15 degrees an hour. That'd be 2 reference frames. It's called Coriolis. It's a standard fair globe belief that Dan destroyed with that statement he sent to me proactively on Twitter. What an idiot. Oh, what's that? He asked Jaron if he has any impact when he says he doesn't debate us. He does. He debated me. He's a liar. Yeah, he just lost immediately, didn't he?
Well, what he actually said was, does it annoy flat earthers that he don't debate?
Yeah, he does.
debate.
Go on, John.
Oh, just as a matter of, just to get clarification, does it count as a knockout if you knock yourself out right when the bell rings?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, if you get inside the ring and then proceed to punch yourself repeatedly in the face and then you knock yourself out, you can't then stand up afterwards and go, I've never been engaged in a boxing match. No one's ever knocked me out. You got in the ring and then beat the living crap out yourself in the presence of another boxer who subsequently won as a result by default. In that case, example is me, the other boxer. He got in the ring and then repeatedly punched himself in the face by saying his argument fails. The argument that Earth has 2 reference frames, apparently they're ruined. It was Dan's opener, as he metaphorically beat the living crap out of himself in the ring to only later go on to Jaron and lie about not ever being in the ring. Yeah, you've been in a ring, Dan. Yeah, we have more than just verbal communication in person these days. Twitter is a form of communication. You entered into a debate with me when you told me that my reference frames were ruined. That wasn't you asking me how my family are. That was you debating with me, you utter clown. But you want to lie about it now, do you, Dan? Oh, maybe people will forget. Maybe it's because we're censored to all frig that it's almost like we're not pointing out that you're a lying shitbag. We're still here, Dan. It doesn't matter that we're hardly seen because we're so censored. You still lost to me. Having hardly anybody hear me shout it doesn't change that fact, you lying shitbag. Yeah? Oh, what? Will more people hear me lying about it? Therefore, the lie becomes true. I've never debated anybody. Does it annoy anybody? You debated me, Dan. You lost immediately. You debated me via Twitter with a statement about Coriolis effect, something we debated. And you lost immediately when you said your reference frames that you would require for your globe Earth claim, the only claim that has reference frames. 2 of them were ruined, end quote, Dan the Dick. Not debated anybody, Dan. No, you just never won, Dan. Never won. Get it right, bonehead.
Well, what's the definition of a debate? Because they seem to think that is they come on, spew 10 minutes of nonsense, and then it's your turn, and then you go back and forth from there. That's what they consider a debate.
A debate would be like proactively contacting somebody and talking about the discussion points of the subject matter in hand. The debate being the whether or not Earth would be turning in this instance, and Dan's assertion that it obviously can't be because he's only got 1 reference frame to assert it. Meanwhile, the claim of a globe Earth turning has got two reference frames, Earth being one of them turning underneath stars at 15 degrees an hour with two separate reference frames, to create a claimed effect of Coriolis effect. You see, we don't have this effect. And when I point out that we don't have this effect on Earth, Dan says you and your reference frames are ruined. Affirming that we haven't got two fucking reference frames. That's Dan entering in a debate with me. But because he lost immediately, he doesn't think it's a debate. What, because we weren't in person? Okay. Yeah, okay, you can deny that social media exists, Stan, you spastic. But nobody will believe you. Oh, you could pretend I'm not saying it because hardly anybody's seeing me because I'm very censored. You could pretend I'm not saying these things. Yeah, you can pretend. But I am, aren't I, Dan? I'm pointing out you're a liar. Dan is a liar. That's what he has to do. He has to lie.
Well, to me, that was a debate because he made a claim, he didn't support it, and you rebutted it. Should be claim, support, rebut.
What, claim my reference frames pointed at me when I don't have any are ruined in an argument which is titled Flat Earth Debate by me, I'm the host of the show, by a person who opposes flat earthers? Maybe that wasn't a debate. Maybe I'm missing something here. Actually, it was a swapping fucking recipes. No, it was a debate. Dan just lost immediately and now likes to deny and lie that he ever has debates with anybody and question whether or not it's pertinent to us that he doesn't have them. Shout out to Kelrick. Go, Nathan. Thank you very much. Right, when I start swearing, I'm so sorry, Kelrick.
Okay.
Hey, chocolate. But that's what you got to do. You got to lie to Glurf. In this case, Simon Dan, the Glurf, lies about having ever debated anybody. He debated me about Coriolis effect and lost immediately. Liar. It's just that simple. Dan's a liar.
Well, everybody should go around and, whenever you go on a different platform, put it out there that make it a challenge here into a debate.
Usually a debate requires a resolved statement, doesn't it?
Well, no, not in this instance. There's a perception that there's a debate. In reality, there's statements of facts that will be required when measuring Earth like it being flat. That's not a debate. Now, the people who think there's a debate and want to create an impression there's a debate, I'll humour them. Before I tell them Earth's measured flat.
Resolved that Earth's measured flat.
Yeah, but when you say resolve, it's like there's an issue. No, it always was and will be required to be that way for the globe Earth belief to take effect. Earth being flat is something that is predicated on their globe belief. Say that right way around. Their globe belief is predicated on Earth being measured flat. Should have done the Willy Wonka. Strike that. Reverse it.
How would you put a statement of fact into a resolved statement? Or is it even logically possible?
For your globe Earth belief, you require Earth to be measured flat. How's
nice.
That? Yeah. It's on screen now. It's been on most of the time in terms of the representations that are utilising Earth as a surface level to get angles to stars. Those are the starting points for the creations of the maps and mathematics of people like Ptolemy and Copernicus, you name it. All of the history of globe Earth comes from flat Earth measurements of things like the sun. Here it is with azimuth and altitude. That's how Earth's measured. That's how the sun's represented in terms of its measurements. This is the starting point for globe Earth rhetoric. If you deny that Earth is measured flat, you don't have a foundational starting point to believe Earth's a globe. Now, I can point out where you're reifying it incorrectly, like when you think you're standing on the surface of it. You never are. In the mathematics, you're always inside it. You could picture this point named azimuth with this label. The point in the centre is where you stand to measure this angle. Now, you can pretend that the angle that you're acquiring represents itself as a hemispherical view of the world that represents itself to you. And then you can call that hemispherical view the globe and pretend that you're standing inside it. And then you can pretend that that point inside a globe moves around the sun. You can pretend all those things once you understand how Earth is measured flat with angles to things like the sun to create a globe to believe in. Now, this is what I would call advanced heliocentrism. That is to say, it is the advanced understanding of why people believe they're on a ball and what maths and measurements create that inference, then gone on to be reified by millions. Now, you can't, in actuality, reify anything. Reification's a fallacy, the fallacy of misplaced concretedness, otherwise known as hypothesization, where you make real something which cannot be real. In this case, being on a ball cannot be reified. We measure Earth flat to create that idea.
People want to know where this will happen.
Where what all happened?
The debate with Jaron. Where do you propose it should happen?
I don't care. In the past, I've just gone on Jaron's show and he's been very accommodating. I don't see why he would be any different now he's changed sides.
Beautiful.
Nathan, wouldn't it be better said to say that you're in the ball is the reification?
No, because
on the ball.
You can't be on the ball. So nobody's reifying being in the ball. They just inaccurately reify it. If that's a... I don't know, can you inaccurately reify something? Tell me in the comments, I don't care. They're reifying it wrong, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, that's their reification is incorrect.
Exactly. Your fallacious reasoning's wrong is what John's laughing at, right? Because to say that your fallacious logic, which is incorrect at its base, if it's flawed, you have to discount it. You completely disregard the flawed logic that takes you to the place that you're on a ball. In this case, utilisation of flat plane measurements of the sun and stars to create a flat plane inside a ball that will be mathematicized to move around the sun in what's called orbital motion. Well, at no point are you ever on that ball, right? So when we say you're reifying it wrong, the fallacy to suggest that we are actually anything ball-shaped is the fallacy, that's the reification. But in so doing it, to reify it in the way it's mathematicized, you'd be in the ball, not on the ball. So when they say, well, on a ball, no, you need to reify it correctly. If we're going to take apart your fallacy, at least get the fallacy correct. Well, that's where John laughs. How'd you tell them that they've got the fallacy wrong? You can't be on a ball or in a ball. It doesn't matter which way they get it wrong. It's all wrong. But the way it's mathematicized into existence for them to reify is to be in a ball on a plane, not on a ball at a tangent. I can't wait. I don't actually care about debating Jaron, to be honest. I couldn't give a crap. I was really keen. Yeah? Why have I done it on the middle of a live show off the cuff? Because I don't really care. If he turns me down, I don't care. If he takes me up, I don't care. Who cares? He's not on our side anymore. Couldn't give a toss. Yeah? I'm indifferent to him. That's why you make it like it's a major power move on a chessboard. There's no game. When we say there's no debate, there's no chessboard. You know what I mean? What?
Hold on. It's a power move because it's going to expose what they're doing. The game is over. We know that.
I don't care what they're doing. They're men.
On their chessboard.
Hear me out. John, back me up. To entertain the idea that what, quote, they are doing has any bearing on anything at all is to give them some modicum of power in this regard. Now, what Jaron Horwitz does in reality is inconsequential to Earth and how it's freaking measured. Flat. Always for everyone. Now, that fact can't be played. It's not a move in a debate, is it?
I'm sorry. No. I just think we remember hearing Jaron
hold on,
say
Chocolate.
that.
We'll come to you in a sec. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, that's what I was giggling about. Telling them that they're reifying their fallacious logic incorrectly is so weird It has to be a new fallacy. Like,
Yeah,
like
chocolate.
it's-
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
I'm after chocolate.
Oh no, it's taking my words away. It's so ignorant that I can't put it into words. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
I
like
just think
just before you go, it's like suggesting to some idiot that they can go and mix up tartan paint. Yeah, and in the handbook it says to make tartan paint you do this, and it describes how to do it in the paint mixing machine, which is ludicrous. Obviously, it won't work. But then when they go and do it, and they do something that isn't what it says in the book, and then suggest to you that they've got the tartan paint at the outcome, and you're like, no. When you're supposed to be pretending to make the tartan paint incorrectly, you're supposed to follow this process. But you're not even painting. You're not even using paint. You're using glue. And you're like, why am I having to correct you on using paint instead of glue to make tartan paint? When tartan paint doesn't exist. This is ludicrous. Yeah, chocolate.
I distinctly remember hearing Jaron say something about Earth being measured flat as well. So what was it that he wanted to debate about? Like he wants to debate you? Is that what's going on?
Earth is like a Home Depot.
So that's what we're talking about the boxer going in the ring and knocking himself out.
What?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about. A boxer going in the ring and knocking himself out. So
No, that was with Earth Turn. That was with Simon Dan. That was like from half an hour
yeah,
ago.
but he's doing the same thing, Jaron.
What? He's going to go on the locally flat vibe like Ranty did? I don't care. You know what I mean?
Look, it's not about for us. It's for the people out there, Nathan. There's a lot
No,
of
it's
people
not.
out
It's for
there
the-
that
Yeah,
they'll be
okay.
swayed.
I'll agree with you and disagree with you. It's for the people who have been indoctrinated into the Feast of Nonsense perception of an argument for flat Earth, perception that there's a belief held, things of that nature. It's for those people, right? I don't care. Sodom.
Yeah, but we do.
I'm being serious. I don't care. They're a lost cause.
I know you
If
don't.
those people have managed to get themselves corralled by Weiss and Whitsitt and Jaron and Patsy, Sodom. I don't care. Do you remember me saying yesterday that I remember a few years back sitting up at my local Tesco superstore, looking at the people and putting my head in my hands and going, oh my God, I'm surrounded by retards. There's no hope for us. And then suddenly this wave of despair came over me. Do you remember me telling you about that? Yeah? I've accepted that there's a huge chunk of society that I can't help. There's no hope. There's no help in them. Right? There's no help in them. So you want me to help those people? That's what you're asking.
No, I
Yeah,
want
you
the
are.
information. I want the information to help those people.
Then we need Flat Earth Ninjas. We need the book. As soon as the book comes out, Neil, I'll have a second win of wanting to go out and do this and promote Flat Earth again. At the moment, we're in overtime in the last round of the last season, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you could call it the playoffs. Who knows? As far as I'm concerned, we're between seasons. Now, the new season starts when the book comes out, for me. At the moment, I'm looking at a boiling up room with a projector that's running because my monitor's broken, and I'm miserable because I'm running up and down to the local drop-off centre to drop off microphones all day, every day, to keep the mortgage paid because the ad revenue's not rolling in. Well, I want that to change. I want to be on people's shows, promoting the book, telling them about the book, doing the Parkinson thing.
Yeah, I got you. My point is this. It's not going to happen. Jaron's not going to accept a debate with you.
I don't care.
And that's my point.
I don't care. I just said. Did I say I can't wait to debate Jaron? Did those words cross my lips, or did you just say I don't care? If he
Just
accepts, I
keep
don't
going
care.
back
If
to
he,
you,
if he
Nathan.
accepts or declines, I don't care.
I know you don't, but you keep going back to you, and I'm talking about a wider audience. He won't accept it. showing his hand.
He's not consequential anymore. People aren't looking to Jaron to get their flat Earth information anymore, so who cares? They will be looking to me.
Nathan, there was a very important part in The Godfather when Michael said, "My father taught me in this very room, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer."
That is
Okay.
very true.
Yeah, no,
If
I
they
don't
were our
disagree.
enemy,
No, I think Jaren is as close as he needs to be to us. Thanks.
Yeah, fine. I just see that as a similar scenario where you're turning something that's an axiomatic fact of life into a potential mafia war with enemies and friends. It does not matter.
Oh, it is a war.
No, it's not. It's not personal. It's not business. It's not a war. Axiomatically, Earth is flat. Measurements show Earth's flat, and for navigation, building, and any functional measurement ever of Earth, it will be dealt with as a plane.
And how many people know that, Nathan? Are you really going to be this naive to me?
I don't know what that's got to do with the amount of people that know it will change when I go out and promote the book. That's what the book's useful for. It's a tool to sell flat Earth to people. That's what the book represents. Jaron was also previously past tense a tool, a useful tool that if shined up and sharpened could be more useful for effectively delivering a message to the general public. He's no longer a tool in our toolbox. He's still a tool. Just a different type of tool.
It's not a war. It's just the ground and how it's measured. It's not a war. The people who take it upon themselves to defend the notion of living on a magical spinning water ball, they think it's a war.
Yep.
It's not a war. It's just the ground.
Exactly.
How
And it's
it's measured.
exactly, Chocolate. It's advantageous to our opponents for the perception of it being a war to be maintained. It's not. There's no debate here.
There was a war in heaven, okay? Lucifer is the chief that started that war, okay?
Yeah, the
And
war.
he wanted
Yeah,
to be
okay.
like the Most
I'll get
High,
behind this.
and that's why he exalted his throne above the stars of heaven,
Fine.
above the clouds, above everything. And we're all on a heliocentric
Fine,
system
I'm
right
agreeing,
now.
yes.
So we're in a war.
There's a war on deception, right? If you want to count that as the Dark Lord, Satan himself, then he utilizes deceit. And deceit is what we fight. Because in terms of the discussion and what's real, there's no discussion. Yeah? Now that is very godly, in my opinion, to have these things be statements of fact. And for us to be capable of laying them out in that manner. Not debate. Yeah? I thank God for that fact. Because it means that I can foreseeably calm the hell down. I don't have to chill. I can chill, right?
It's a hell of a war when the other side, the soldiers that you're supposed to be fighting, they start off the war with it's too big to measure the curve. That's like the other side throwing their guns at you and saying, "Hey guys, here are my guns." what are y'all doing?
Indeed.
the best silver bullet proof you can use is the one that your enemy brings you.
Yep. In this case, the measurements of Earth that will always be utilised in the first instance, they're flat. They always were, and they always will be. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either... Man, I should have put the camera on to show how relaxed I am. I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. If you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering stream, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Corleone.
Not everything has to have a Godfather reference attached to it, Neil.
Yeah, no, I'm just reading what Fisherman in the Box said in chat. He came back with a Godfather reference.
Oh, did
Love
what
that
did he say?
Fisherman in the Box.
What did he say? Fisherman in a box.
Yeah, he said, "You can have my answer now, Senator. You get nothing." When Michael was talking to the senator about the casinos.
Yeah, I remember. It's because he knew his brother his brother betrayed the senator, didn't he, by letting him know that they'd met previously?
Well, he didn't find that out yet. He was still he didn't even get it. His life wasn't even attempted on yet. This is before all of that.
Oh yeah,
This is when the senator said yourself and your whole effing family. Godfather 2.
Indeed.
I'm looking at it at a different angle, Nathan, than you are. I understand exactly what you're saying. And I agree. The book is going to be the thing where you put that information out for a world to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait.
Well, the thing is, the information, right? It's sort of like QE did when he reminded us what science was and why we held it empirical.
Exactly.
It's not that it doesn't already exist and people utilize it every day. They measure Earth every day. Like, it's just people have lost respect for the plane of reference.
Not lost respect. They lost it totally. They lost the entire plane of reference. It's funny because when I was in the hospital with my son the other day with the pneumonia, I'm looking at all the charts they have, and every one of them have a flat baseline telling you what you're reading, the heart rate, the breathing rate, everything. Everything you measure requires a flat plane of reference. End of story.
Yeah, but they want to say that flat plane of reference that is required isn't a plane of reference. That's problematic for them as well.
When somebody dies on a table, they don't say, "Oh, he curve lined. He curve lined." No, they say he flatlined.
Hopefully, you guys can keep the conversation going for just a little bit. I've got a lot of work to
When
do.
are we doing the book?
Don't know. Can you find out?
I can, if John's going to keep the conversation going.
I will, as long as chocolate will back me up. Chocolate.
Chocolate will, as long as Central will back him up.
I can try when I can, sure.
Because the whole thing about this, and I knew it was measured flat before I ever come to this subject. I knew that. Everyone does. It's people have forgotten. They fill their head with so much fallacious logic and incorrect assertions that just kind of you forget, and you end up trying to make fun of flat earthers so you can steal the measurements of a flat earth. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, and it's hard to phrase how cognitively you personally, or anybody else for that matter, goes through that. Knowing it's flat, dealing with it flat, but then suggesting that it's something other than that. Where's the in between?
That's the crazy part, that he could actually say that he knew it was measured flat while still believing it's false. Like that. That's the brainwashing gets you through that in between. That's why it's so good.
Well, if you think about it, measurements are as tied to logic as natural law is tied to logic. And
It's hardwired into us by God. So, I argued this before, that Romans 1:18 talks about how everyone knows that God exists because of creation. That's why flat Earth, or the nature of Earth, I'm not going to say flat Earth because that's the buzzword, but God's creation, as He said it was created, as He describes it, is absolutely true, and it's a part of His display of power. His existence cannot be denied just by looking at creation. And He hardwired us with natural laws of logic, laws of morality, laws of mathematics, which are based on logic, laws of logic, which all the other things like mathematics and measurements and stuff like that are based on. They have to be true, they have to be logical, or they don't work. Everybody knows those exist, and we are in that realm, and we live in that realm all the time. The only difference between one set of people and another is that one will accept and at least believe that God exists. God wants everyone to know He exists. Others, they know the truth. Nathan's right. They know it's flat. They know that 1 and 1 is 2. They know that there is absolute truth. But in Romans 1:18 through the rest of the chapter points out, they deny the truth in unrighteousness. And that's the only difference between the people who are in cogdis projection mode, the anti-flat earthers. They deny God. They deny the truth. And there's nothing you can do about it except give them the truth. And that's why these arguments, the information in this book, which I assume will be 99.9% truth and measurements rather than any of the nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah. But hopefully explain the nonsense, because that's where 99% of the people are coming from. That's who 99% of the people, the normies and the ninjas, the flat earth normies and the flat earth ninjas, are dealing with. And so, and we went through the nonsense, and I basically for 10 years, well, now about 8 years, have gone through the usual ladder of the journey. And thank God have been led to the understanding through this program that you can only just tell the truth and what is absolutely true and what God created in our hearts for everyone to know that He is. And we're just battling, anyone that's anti anything is basically just someone who denies God, denies creation, denies that what they see is true. They look at it and they go, that's interesting. No God here. You can't do that and be honest. And so hopefully the book will help people. I think it'll help mostly the ninjas. People like
Let
me
me read it.
who know the stories. Yeah, people who know the stories and people who know the background of the program. I don't know that a normie's going to pick this up and take the time.
No.
To
That's not how I'll get it into the hands. I'm not expecting it to catch the eye at Waterstones of a normie. That's not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting you, maybe you
Yep.
literally, to be putting it in the hands of a normie.
Yes, I'd be putting it in the hands of my daughter.
There you go. Well, exactly. I don't expect your daughter, let's say she read it, had a higher degree of appreciation, and happened to be in a forum, and then I'm in there, just massive, unbelievable chance, right? And she happened to say, "Oh wow, I happened to read your book." I'd be like, instinctually, "Were you given it by someone else by any chance?" Would be my first question. Yeah, because it's gonna.
I'll bet you'll get
That's how it'll get out.
80 to 90%. 80 to 90%, yes.
Yeah, that's how it'll get out.
Well, not at first.
Just let me finish this thought, right? So the reason I know that's the case is because most people aren't combative, right? Most people don't want an argument. Now, if you've ever talked about the subject of flat Earth with anybody ever, you'll know that it almost immediately develops into one. So most people are a little bit cagey about bringing the subject up, but most people are aware that you can't argue with a book.
I guarantee you there's going to be some idiot out there that picks a book up and starts yelling at it because of this.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. But I'm not saying in literal terms when I almost exclusively mean in metaphorical terms. When I say you can't argue with a book, what I mean is the pages aren't going to change. The book itself is lifeless. It has no opinion. Right? That's what I mean by that. Now, that isn't to say that in literal terms people will argue with a book and yell at it. Oh, yeah, I don't doubt that there's going to be a lot of people in that regard, in literal terms, arguing with my book. Yeah, I know, yeah. you can't, but there will be, which is also very amusing and interesting to think about.
Well, I don't agree with that. There is life in those words.
So you think they'll change? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it depends on how they approach the book. I mean, if they're going to read it as a baller, not listen to anything, close their ears and just read and try to like mock everything. Yeah, but if they read it sincerely and say, "Hey, listen, look, all globe proof." Well, there was none ever, but everything I looked into about the globe, I looked into it sincerely, not looking at it in a biased way. So it depends on how they approach it. But then again, you can't deny measurements. So I don't know. This
That's the thing. They do deny measurement, but then they turn around and use them.
that's the cog this.
They only deny depending on how you describe it. Right? For them saying it's too big to measure the curve, that's them denying measurements. But if you were to say it's too big to measure the curve, but it's also curved, then that's them not denying the measurement.
Never understood that joke because rather than its next breath, they'll tell you both go over the horizon when they just told you that it's too big to measure the curve. How do they not even see that contradiction?
They do. That's called cognitive dissonance, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah, cog this,
That's
I guess.
literally how the brainwashing is designed to function in order to make people have this little glitch in their head where they can say something is curved, but it's also too big to measure that very curve. Right?
Well, look at here. Both are going over the horizon. Wait a second. You just told me it's too big.
Yeah, at 3 miles, the hole starts to disappear bottom up. Explain that, flat earther. You get the joke yet?
Well, there's 2 or 3 flat Earth prerequisites in that statement. I don't know about joke, but is that what you were suggesting? It should be laughed at.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
That's true. The hole is disappearing behind the very curve I told you was too big to see or measure. So what's your problem with flat Earth?
Brian, it's okay. Panic over.
I'm having some trouble with my internet. What did you just say, chocolate?
Brought up a bolt disappearing with its hole disappearing behind the curve. Well, yeah, the hole is disappearing behind the curve. I just told you it's too big to measure. So what's your problem, flat earther? What seems to be your bottle?
Did you just say, what's your boggle?
Yes.
Boggle?
So you don't know the movie reference?
No, give it to me.
Demolition Man.
Oh,
Oh, yes, it is Demolition Man. Sandra Bullock asking, what's your boggle?
Where's the spot?
Now it clicked. Yes, I got it now. I only seen the movie 20 times.
I'm going to go on camera. You guys carry on chatting. Just know that I'm unboxing something. So if I happen to be upstaging you, tough luck.
So those measurements of Earth curve will be flat.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Hey,
when I say it's away from you. Oh, what's up, Brian?
sorry, John, I couldn't say hello.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you probably have something you're going to bring up.
No, just saying hello. Just sorry, I kind of just started as you were saying.
I can't even remember now. It was ridiculous statements you can make, like at 3 miles, the bottom of the boat starts to disappear, bottom up. So it's a globe, like people don't get the joke in that.
So cool. Bought a Japanese mic from the 90s by Pearl. If you're a muser, you'll know Pearl is the people who make drums.
Drum sets, yeah.
Yeah. They made microphones, really nice ones, back in the 90s. And I managed to get hold of one of the later models that were dynamic. It feels so premium. This feels nice.
Well, it's weird because Ludwig was the big drum. Then Pearl started making its power move. And then Tama came out.
Well, I'm going to hook it up. Can you guys chat? Because I've got my wife's on the case making me coffee. I'm showing off a microphone.
I got to ask Brian a question. So, Brian,
Yeah, can
Nathan
you add
challenge.
no sugar in my coffee, please?
Brian, are you there?
To be sure.
Number nine.
That's that nice. Number eight. He came to flat Earth in 8 seconds, not 9.
what?
No, that's my little joke on Brian because he says it took him 8 seconds to understand that Earth is flat. Well, he's always on about the number 9 being relevant. So I told him you got to change it to 9 so it fits better.
Sorry, Neil. Sorry, I couldn't answer. Yes, you can
Okay,
ask
so-
me a question.
Yes. So Nathan put out a challenge to Jiren that'll challenge him to a debate. What do you think will happen?
In the debate, well, how is Jaron going to deny all the flat earth evidence that he used to promote?
That's if he even takes the challenge, which I am predicting he will not.
Check.
Showing his hand.
I think Jaren's favourite colour will be better than Nathan's favourite colour, I have to admit.
So you're missing it. There's a reason why Jaron and Witsit are having a debate. All right? Brian, we discussed this yesterday.
Yeah, there sure is. There's a couple of reasons. The first reason, but you can say it, Neil, if you want, or I'll say it. I don't mind.
No, go ahead.
When I go, okay. I just didn't want to be standing on your toes. The first reason is to promote each other. So they're promoting that these two supposed flat earthers who went to Antarctica are now in opposition because one of them is not a flat earther anymore because they saw a supposed 24-hour sun. So now the two of them are in opposition, and it's going to be the big debate and keep both of them relevant when they're not. They're not relevant. One of them is the same as the other one, and that is they're both lawyers, right? Now, but there's another reason why, right? What are they both going to be in total acceptance of within this debate? What are they not going to be arguing against and going to be promoting, right? So, kind of subliminally, I can never say the word, subliminally, right? That there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. So they at no point will be asking, how come this went wrong? How come that didn't happen? How come there wasn't this other thing? How come there's this in this video and there isn't that? How come the coordinates this? How come this, that, and the other things? None of that will be going on. None of those questions will be being addressed or asked. It'll be, because we both saw a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, blah, 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 blah. So all they're doing is promoting Will Duffy for the whole thing, and the rubbish that Will Duffy is promoting as some kind of proof against flat earth. So that's all it's going to be. Now, that's my opinion. Go on.
Did I miss something? Is Witzik going to debate Jaron? Is that what's going on? Or you're saying like that's
Yes.
how they might put it up?
Yes, that's
later
exactly
on?
what he's saying.
No, that's a fact.
Oh, they're having a debate against each other.
Yes.
Well, if you're
Isn't that adorable?
it's like you reveal your hand as a controlled opposition, and then the only other person that's still your mate says that they're going to debate you. After they're still your mate, you're like, if this doesn't stink to all heaven, I don't know what will. You know what I mean?
Right. That's why I was saying it was a power move, because I'm already hearing people saying, "Oh no, that's not going to happen. He's already debating Witsit. I don't think he's going to want to debate Nathan." 4 or 5 people already said that in the Discord chats.
Oh, I thought the
Okay,
debate
well,
between Jaron and Witsit was about who wore the best clothes.
who had the best outfit?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be WWE wrestling, and Nathan's not going to be one of the wrestlers on in the network.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, well, maybe that's a tell. Wrestling was something that Jaron used to focus on quite exclusively during his early shows that I did watch from memory, how big into wrestling he was. It's like, okay, subtle little tells.
It'll be the globe. Yeah, it'll be Globe Guy versus Flat Earth Ether Guy.
Yeah, you
and
got
they'll
it.
throw in a couple more. That's what it'll be. But you'll just get to watch it on pay-per-view.
Wait, I didn't watch Jaron that much. So he was into this phony stage wrestling? I mean, they're doing all the moves.
Yes, back in the day.
Hats off to them. They're big, strong men. But it's staged.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's a subtle nod to that fact when Jaron discloses that he was really into wrestling back in the day. I just want to mention this microphone. Let me just talk about it a little bit because it's so nice. Right? It's this Pearl microphone, 7500, DM 7500, right? It's a dynamic microphone, and it just feels better than every microphone that's of this variety, like a handheld dynamic microphone, one that you'd have on a stage. This feels so premium. Easily the best microphone. I don't know how it sounds until I listen to this back, right? So for the last 2 minutes I've been talking to you on this microphone, but it just feels so nice in terms of its build quality. Like Japan have poured a ton of money into making it nice. I just hope it sounds good. Does it sound good?
Sounds good, yeah. It doesn't have the same oomph as your Neumann, sorry.
Right. So you're saying I wouldn't expect it to.
It's not in your face as much. You know what I mean? But the sound is nice out. And until you actually reiterated that you were talking on it, I forgot that you were on it.
Well, okay. This is the sound of the Neumann. This is the sound of the Pearl DM 7500. Okay. So this is the sound of
Not
the
much
DM.
in it.
Yeah, well, that's it. Oh, I like it when you say things like that. So this is a top quality microphone. I don't know if I want to sell this one. It's just nice. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. I'll stop talking about it now.
Just for that play analogy, it's sort of like, as far as wrestling goes, it's like they're putting on a wrestling match within a wrestling match to discuss wrestling as if it is not staged. That's what this would be akin to.
It's hard to break down the metaphors well enough, isn't it? But there's got to be a metaphor that someone's going to come up with that's regarding this Jaron's use of wrestling. Because it's telling, isn't it? It is a whole shill charade. The whole thing was a wrestling match, wasn't it?
It's the Democrats versus the Republicans. That's what it is. The two sides of the same coin, pretending they're two different coins.
Yeah, that's a better analogy. Yes.
I see it. It's like glow. Anybody remember?
You're very
glow?
low, Tom. I can't really barely hear you.
Yeah, Chuck.
Best number. Do you remember glow?
Yeah, that's a copy.
Except they're not gorgeous.
So Brian, that freaking thing that you got me, or Michael Kahn got me, I'm picking up brand new movies that are still in the theater with that. I watched Final Awakening.
Are you talking about piracy on my show? Can you not talk about this, please? I don't care what it is. Stop talking about it.
Who's Michael
Immediately.
Kahn? I didn't get you anything.
Oh yeah, this thing I was talking about, the wrestling match.
I went out for a swim earlier. It was a nice day. It was a bit cloudy, but there was a bit of sun in it too, nice and warm. And I go, I'm going to go out for a swim. As I'm driving out, the sky started getting darker and darker. By the time I was walking into the water, there was nobody around. The beach may as well have been grey. The water was grey. There was a cold wind and it was starting to rain. Still though, I had a swim,
Isn't the water kind of cold?
I go where I go. The water can be warm. Where there's a place I go to, it's a lagoon, and the water can heat up there. It can get cold, but it can be warm. Whereas other places it'll just be cold. I mean, all the time.
Check this out, Brian. There was a place called Whitestone Pool in Whitestone, Queens, and they would pump the water right from the sea into the pool. So you're literally swimming in very clean salt water. Huge pool.
I love that. I love sea pools.
Yeah, because it's easy to swim in salt water.
Yeah, you're more buoyant.
Well, it's safer. Yeah, much safer. Yeah, and it's better. Like when I come out of a swimming pool, sometimes they're not too bad, but it depends on how well they're regulated. Right. Sometimes I come out of a swimming pool and I either feel dirty or I feel like I'm being ate alive by all the chlorine. Whereas with the seawater, okay, it's salty, you might dry out your skin a bit or whatever. But it's just, especially if it's anyway clean, You just feel good after it, you know. There was a sea pool when I lived in Australia in Bondi. There's a place called Bondi Icebergs, and they have a sea pool there. It's right next to the sea, but they pump seawater in there, so you have a pool. You don't have to go out into the ocean next to it where there's waves and stuff. And I used to go up. I got into the habit of just going there all the time. You know, it was easier to go there than go into because there's so many people on the beach and in the water. It was easier to go into the sea pool, and I used to love it. I used to love the seafood.
Pool was huge, but you could swim in that and you feel like you're not working at all. Then you go to a lake, a freshwater lake, and everything is labor. Like, I mean, you're exhausted swimming from one end to the other.
Yeah, I don't swim. I have high bone density, so I don't swim. But I love swimming, but I'm useless at it. I don't float well, even in salt water. So I stay away from lakes and rivers because if I don't float well in salt water, like I'm gonna feel like a complete rock in the lake, aren't I? The lakes are far more dangerous. A lot more people die in lakes and reservoirs.
Yeah, because you're not expecting.
Like
I'm going to tell you why, because you're not expecting it to be so tiresome. Like, if you swim in the ocean, you're swimming way different than when you swim in the lake. The distances are better because you're floating better. The lake, you think you could swim, yeah, I can handle this. I can swim from here to there, right? I should be good. And then on your way back, you can't do it.
Are
And
you
you
saying you're a
drown.
witch, Brian?
yeah, I'm the weight of a duck.
Why would it be that you would float better in salt water? Neil, why would you think something like that? That's weird, isn't it?
It's kind of weird, right?
Is there less gravity in salt water making you float better? Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Chocolate is
Asking for a friend.
There's more of a down gravity in salt water, and that creates the up gravity in it, and hence it floats.
I may be wrong about this, but if you're floating, you're not going up or down, are you?
You're bobbing up and down in the water.
Oh, I've had to run back to the mic. Craig, when you were asking me earlier about the Bob the Science Guy contrapositive forces, I can't remember what word to use here. Just get my breath back. No, when you're bobbing, in their rhetoric, you're at 1. Yeah? Doesn't matter if you stood on the ground or in water. You're at 1g. Yeah? So for them to achieve net force 0, you've got to conjure a force out of nothing. And in the current rhetoric, the way they do that is to move the scale of nothing happening to where nothing happening is 1g. Yeah? So neutrally buoyant in heliocentric rhetoric isn't 0, it's 1. Make sense? It's net force 0, nothing's happening, but you've got to conjure something happening out of nothing happening because you're supposed to be flying off but aren't flying off a ball that you're not standing on. You'd only be standing in when you created it, but that's the point, that you've got to have people who don't reify it correctly right the wrong of them not flying off it when they're in it to begin with. That was a bit convoluted, but I hope that helped.
Well, you could say that as gravity pulls you down in the water, that force is then counteracted, and the buoyancy of the water pushes you back up, therefore you would be bobbing. But I was actually talking about being in the sea, and that's probably due to waves.
I mean, this is the thing. They have a push and they have a pull down and push up thing, whereas buoyancy is 1900 years before any mention of gravity, and gravity as a force was not stated by Newton in his original Principia. But all that doesn't matter because buoyancy is not pushing you up. It's just there's enough density to stop you from going down. Do you know what I mean? That's all. It's just the density of whatever object or substance in relation to the medium. Let's say in salt water is like you float better because there's a greater density. You know, the more salt that's in the water, the more you float. So it's not you're being pushed up. You're just not going down. But they try to make it out as if you're being pushed up. There's nothing pushing you up. Do you know what I mean? You're not being pushed up. It's ridiculous. Like,
So what's the force, if there is a force then? So we take a ball and we put it in the water and we push it down and then we let go and the ball shoots back up out the water. What is that?
well, that's buoyancy. But it's the ball, like it's the air, right, is wanting to get back to the surface because there's too much pressure. I don't know why density differential creates buoyancy. I don't know what. Like, I mean, I can only describe these things because why the ball full of air wants to go back up to the surface. Like the pressure, okay, there's lateral pressure and downward pressure on the ball, right? But it's the air that wants to go up. And if the tensile strength of the beach ball is not broken by the pressure, the downward and lateral pressure on the ball, then the ball will naturally go up. That's all I know. Like, I know
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird because if you take the ball just under the water, yeah, it'll probably just bob back up to the surface. But if you push it further down, give more downward force into the water, that's returned by a shooting out the water, wouldn't it? So like it would actually go up higher than the water.
Yeah, it actually gains. It actually accelerates towards because the further down you push it, the more it accelerates up to it.
That's not 9 meters per square, whatever gravity is then.
No, 9.81 meters per second squared is an average of a load of nonsense. That involves it, but it's all just about the differential, really. Like the overall density of the beach ball, including whatever air is in it, is so much less than the water. It's just not going to fit. It's just like you're trying to make air fit in water, and it won't. A gas fit inside a liquid, and it won't happen, kind of thing.
No, I was just intrigued. We can't call it a force but it does appear to be like a force pushing you back up out the water, and the more you press down, further you take the ball, the higher it's going to come back up.
You can think of it. Hold on.
But
You can think of it as getting a mention in my book. I mean, you can think of it as getting a force involved.
I was trying to avoid it going that way. It's actually when you stand in opposition to entropy, can you calculate a force?
So it must be relevant to the force you push it down with into the water, yeah?
But it takes you forcing it down for it to go down. So
Yeah,
it is coming back to an equilibrium. You know what I mean? There's natural
Exactly.
equilibrium.
Brian's suggesting, and he's correct, that to have the scenario that you describe, you must first put the ball into disequilibrium to then observe what occurs afterwards, which is the baller's approach, right? Put something in disequilibrium and then let it return from whence it came without noting that you've put it into disequilibrium first. Like, I take a load of rocks to the top of a tower and drop them, or at the top of a cliff with a rock and I push it off. Yeah, it's like, well, it's got a huge amount of energy in it then.
The energy it took to put it up there in the first place, which is what I was... Yeah, so like the energy that you would use to push the ball into the water.
Precisely.
Everything is, once everything is left alone, everything will be where it's supposed to be. Like a piece of wood on land will be on the ground. Let's just say, just a random piece of wood will be on the ground. In water, it will be on the surface of the water until it fills with water. And what that is that all the air inside of it is displaced by water. Then it'll be at the bottom of the water, or at the bottom, right, at the base. Right? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But everything is in nature as it's supposed to be. It's when we start trying to move these things out of where they're supposed to be, that's when we start seeing the effects that we call buoyancy. That's all it is. But the ballers want to make up, go on about some force that doesn't exist. It's not a force. It's that, as Nathan said, you bring a rock up to the top of a tower and drop it. It's falling down to the bottom of the tower. If you leave it, you know what I mean? Because you brought it up there. If you didn't bring it up there, it just would have been where it was.
Everything remains at rest and doesn't move unless a force is applied, and the force is your force of your pushing something or holding something or dropping something.
Yes and no.
And that's potential energy.
Yes and no. Things aren't ever in true equilibrium, right? We're in constant flux. That is, in essence, the world that we inhabit. And I know that's true. There's a law of nature. We use it quite frequently in the debate, the law of entropy. So even if you're looking at a rock, it isn't truly in equilibrium, ever. Same with gases. This is why we laugh at our opponents, right? When they suggest that we can have gases come back down again. It's like, no. For that to occur with a gas, you'd have to reach absolute zero.
But if you're
But isn't with every reaction there's an equal and opposite reaction?
Yeah.
Up to a point, it depends. What you're going is Newton's laws of motion, and they don't work on the microscale like they work on the macroscale. So they're not across the board universal.
Well, the laws of motion aren't correct either, because when you, Brown was saying, you start talking about the movement of particles, does not, for every action, there is not an equal and opposite reaction.
Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm going to push something, let's say a big rock, and I lean in and I try to push it with my shoulder or my arm or whatever, and the rock doesn't move. Then the only opposite reaction could be me doing a push-up off the rock, if you want to call it that. But I don't push the rock because I don't have enough force. So it depends on, you have to have enough force pushing at something, against something to move. So in that way, in some way, like in that way, does that law of motion, as they would call it, hold up? Not really, because I'm not pushing, am I? There's no opposite reaction.
There would be a reaction if you had enough force to push the rock. You're the one that's still exerting the force, or the it's like with the beach ball in the water. Nothing's going to happen unless you apply your potential energy.
No, Luke. I am your father.
Hold on a sec, because you can get the path of a particle of light to change without any physical interaction whatsoever.
Yeah, well, that's a particle of light. That's light. We're talking about physical objects, though.
So a photon is not physical.
Correct, but the beach ball is going into the water. All I'm saying is that whatever forces anyone's trying to apply to these concepts are supplied by a force of someone moving.
Yeah, but you didn't listen to what I said. If I'm pushing something that's too big for me to push, like a rock, then where's the opposite reaction? If I push it, nothing happens. That's not an opposite reaction, is it? And light is physics.
Okay. Well, yeah, the equal and opposite react. I was just stating the common sense, or what everyone thinks of as the common sense law. With every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The things that are not in motion will stay not in motion unless acted on by a force, like
Right.
someone moving it
Let me just
or
quote
trying to
Feynman.
move it.
The laws of motion of Newton were not right. Richard Feynman.
And Brian and I are covering why they're not right, why that statement that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, that's incorrect.
That in and of itself is not a natural law, then, right?
Right.
Right. A diffraction pattern changes to two bars, not because I physically interacted with the light. That's not why that happened. So something changed its vector without me ever doing anything to it. How is that an equal and opposite reaction?
Right, I'm going to round out. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.